everyone. So it's Lynn with Little Foot Nursery, and I am here with baby Emily. It is Happy Disney Monday to all of you guys, and I haven't featured Emily in a video in a while, but I do cuddle her off camera. So just because you guys haven't seen her too much, I doesn't mean I'm not interacting with her. And you can see I have her dressed in this little outfit here. And I'm actually going to change her out of this outfit because I got a super cute dress. It's a Snow White, it's a little Snow White dress. I don't know what it is, but I seem to need to collect all the Snow White outfits. But you guys have seen the other Snow White dress that I have from Disney Store, which looks actually quite different from this one. But this one is actually from Gap. And it's the Disney Baby line from Gap, so that's actually pretty cool. But it is a 0 to 3 month size, which should fit her perfectly. And I realize it does not have like, you know, matching panties or anything like that, so she's just going to be wearing her diaper underneath. But I thought it'd be fun to put it on Emily. It's a little bit softer in coloring, a little bit more pastel, and it's knitted here on the top, and then the skirt is very fluffy, sort of like a tutu, but it's not like too poofy. It has like a cotton, feels like a cotton lining, so, but it's a very cute little dress. So I thought for Disney Monday I would dress her in this, and then take the opportunity to, of course, chat with you guys a little bit. And I had an interesting topic for today that I wanted to talk about a little bit, and it's been on my mind. I heard you know, one of the Reborn artists out there in the community mention that you know, after sort of being both a collector and an artist, you know, for years, you know, kind of, you know, having like having a harder time sort of, you know, really bonding with their babies. And I thought it was really interesting, and I wonder if other artists feel this way sometimes, that, you know, after you've been kind of experienced in the kind of art side of things, you know, whether it makes it more difficult to actually kind of, you know, be, you know, view your babies the way a collector would view them. So I think I thought it was a really interesting kind of comment. And, you know, she had even stated that she really envied, and I'm not using her name just because I don't know if she would want this to be out there. So, you know, yeah, so that's the only reason I'm not mentioning who said it, because, you know, it's kind of like a personal opinion, you know, type of a thing. And, you know, she may not want everybody feeling like that she feels this way. But yeah, she's just saying that, like, she really envies, like, the collectors who, you know, have just one baby and really seem to just bond and just love that baby and just really cherish that baby. And so, oh wow, this is really pretty on Emily. I definitely picked the right baby for this. Oh, she's so pretty in this. Let me show you guys the back really quickly. So it has this like little eye hole here. And Emily, I didn't even talk about her kit. She is the Saskia kit, and she was painted by Mary Anderson dolls. I love Mary's painting. I'm slightly obsessed. I wish I could paint like this. She does like the Caucasian skin tones, like the peaches and cream, really well. But and her hair is painted. So anyway, she's super cute. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting thought, and I think kind of like the topic or my thought for this video was, as artists, you know, does becoming an artist make reborns lose their magic? I guess is kind of my topic. And you know, if you'd like to make this into a tag video, you know, please please feel free to do so. I'd love you to post the link to your video in my comments, so I can, you know, hop over and make sure I watch your video. Because I'm not very good about like typing my own nursery name into YouTube to see like what comes up in the titles and things like that. So yeah, if you could just, you know, post it in your comments, that would be awesome. Yeah, so, but I think it's just a really interesting topic, and let me answer it for myself, because I think for me, I guess what has changed is I remember the very first time I opened a Reborn, and took a Reborn out of the box. I was like almost afraid to touch it because it looked like it was just almost like, kind of eerie and weird to like feel like you were taking a real baby out of a cardboard box. And it was almost like, oh my gosh, this is like too real. I remember having that feeling of like, oh my gosh, kind of that awe feeling that this baby just looks so real. And then I definitely don't experience that anymore as a collector, just now having been a longtime collector. I think and I remember the first time I saw, like, I think I was watching that, if you guys haven't seen this documentary, it's a little old school, but it was back in like almost 10 years ago when they had this documentary called My Fake Baby. I think a lot of us have seen that documentary, but they showed, I think one of the interviews was with one of the Reborn artists, and she had like her doll kits lying around, and there were like heads here, body parts here. I remember that also being very like unnerving when I first saw that for the first time. And I'm sure that that's probably like the feeling that a lot of people who aren't familiar with Reborns or aren't familiar with this hobby, they do experience those emotions. And so I think it's actually a very normal thing to feel. But I think after you've been around the hobby for a while, and and I'm kind of super free to just show like blank kits and here's a head, here's a limb, sort of a thing. We all do get used to seeing that, and so the shock factor isn't there as much. So I think that's one aspect of it where the like oh my goodness, like that feeling of it being being so real. At least with the vinyl Reborns for me, I don't experience that as much. Now with silicone, I think I still feel, that probably still triggers a deeper or more dramatic response in me because, I'm not an artist of silicone. I don't paint silicone babies. So there's still, I think, some aura of mystery when it comes to how to make a silicone doll. So I do think that for me, when I open up a Reborn baby, it is a little bit of a different experience than when I'm opening up a silicone baby. But again, that's just me. It may really differ for different people. And of course, if it's a silicone baby that's not, very detailed and, well done and things like that, that's different. I would take a good Reborn over that any day. But yeah, so, and I would say too, like, I'm a new artist. I started painting, kind of earlier this year I think I started in February. And I took the Reborn A to Z course. That was kind of how I learned. And oh gosh, you guys who probably saw my earlier videos, I posted a review of the course, and it's an excellent course. It's really, really good. Back when I purchased it several months ago, it costed $99. And I had noticed that, Shaylin Maxwell of Reborn Suite, who does she's the teacher of that course, and she's a prototype artist, and she's very successful. She's a very sharp businesswoman in addition to a talented Reborn artist. So she basically, like last week, advertised a webinar to kind of, basically share like five tips for your business, your Reborn business sort of a thing, with also, of course, information about her course at the end, that of course would be optional if anybody wanted to purchase it, but wanted to provide that information on her course to her audience. The price of the course has gone way up, and I don't fault her for doing that because I know that it's a, the material she's presenting is very valuable, but it has gone way up from when I purchased it. So I'm very thankful and lucky that I got grandfathered in under the old $99 price when I purchased it, but it is now, I think she's asking, I want to say she's asking $697, or something to that effect. And it might be, it might go back up to a higher price later on, or she's going to raise it even higher, but there's kind of a special she's running for those who see her webinar. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting, but anyway, not to digress too much, but I, so I learned to paint. I took that course. I watched other video tutorials. I attended a painting class at the Rose Doll Show, learned a lot of new techniques there, and I'm still learning. I purchase other tutorials, and I'm kind of constantly trying to learn and innovate. So really you get into really studying like how to do different parts of the doll, like the details, the creasing, blushing, mottling, flush layers or warming layers, painting hair, all of that. And I will say, I don't think it's necessarily that the magic is gone, but I definitely, when I get a doll, I do sort of study these details a little bit more, or I'll kind of look at a baby and go, huh, I wonder how they did that. Wow, that's really good. Like I'll kind of admire it from the art point of view versus like, oh my gosh, that's just a beautiful baby and it just tugs at my heartstrings, And I think that's when I was just a collector, I tended to see these babies and feel that about them, that, oh my gosh, like it's just touching my heartstrings. It's interesting because like as and I see some artists who are, they make the dolls and they're really adept and really good at making the dolls, but they don't seem to collect themselves or necessarily have like an emotional attachment to the babies that they make. And, they don't, for them, it's their job, or, it's a source of income. And I think this artist who, I was quoting earlier, who talked about how, she just kind of didn't have, maybe wasn't experiencing the magic of Reborns as an artist, and maybe it was because she had, during the years that she's this has been really a full-time income for her, hasn't she kind of sees the dolls and sees the kits more as okay, this is something to sell to provide money for my family, So I think it's a really interesting dynamic where, and I think that's the thing that for me, one of the reasons I really hope I can continue just to keep this as a part-time hobby is, I don't want to, experience those feelings where I see a doll and I think, oh, okay, I just see dollar signs, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have that feeling. I think for me, as I'm painting, like, I'm really just kind of savoring the process of bringing the baby to life. I take my time. I definitely don't force myself to paint if I'm having sort of an off day or if I'm just tired. I find I can't really do painting more, 2 days in a row, for example. Like I always have to take a day off in between. I think it's just more from an artistic perspective. I need a little bit of that, to step away from, what I'm doing and to kind of come back to it with fresh eyes. And so that's just me, but I know there are artists who can paint from like morning to night and just work straight like that, and they just kind of power through, or maybe they have sort of their rhythm of like what they like to do when they paint and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I think anyway, if any artists out there who are watching this and they are experiencing that, but they also collect and kind of want to get that magic back, I truly hope that. I truly hope that you can, kind of get those feelings back. And, yeah. And so, maybe just, it's important to give yourself like, those times of rest so you don't just burn out completely. Right. So I think that's important. And I think I had, I had another old video of mine about, whether artists collect, because I did notice that some artists do collect, and some do not. And I found it fascinating, honestly, because it's like, and almost like, wow, you're, for those artists who do such amazing work, it's like, how can you be around, or how can you like paint and create these amazing creations and literally not be tempted to keep all of them? And I know there's some artists who paint just for themselves and they keep all their creations, and that's great too. But yeah, I always like wondered, and maybe you do sort of, I don't want to say get desensitized to it, but maybe a little bit of that happens. Like maybe a little bit of the magic goes away, once you have been painting for a while, or, yeah, because you really know how to make these dolls and, each aspect that goes into making them. And it's sort of that mystery factor isn't there as much anymore. So, So yeah, so that was something I did, sort of think about. I was like, huh, okay, that's interesting. If that's the case or not, right? But yeah, anyway, just some musings I thought about. But yeah, if you guys like, are still thinking about maybe trying to take the Reborn A to Z course, I think it's an excellent course. I do think it's better for those who are, using it for Genesis heat set paints. Because she literally tells you the exact colors to use. And for me, since I started with air dry, what I had to do is I had to take the colors she was using, and then basically I bought the Shea Air Paints master set, and I basically had to go through the whole box of paints to find like the right color match. So that's what I did in getting started, and then I had to do a little bit of but I think Cher's paints weren't meant to be as many layers as we do, as you all do it for Genesis. So, so that's a consideration. One thing that's exciting, just to throw this out there, Melissa George, who, as you guys know, painted my Phoenix kit, who is on his way, and then she also painted Clara, who's my Levi, and then also Natalie, who's my Lotus, and Maddie, who is the Angel Sculpt by Bonnie Sieben. So she's painted 3 of my babies. She is thinking about putting out some tutorials. I don't know if she'll do like a full course like Shaylin does with her Reborn A to Z, but she was like, kind of asking like for my input on the types of things that people might be interested in. So yeah, so if you have comments on that too, feel free to comment below, and I'll like compile the comments and pass it on to Melissa. That would be awesome. So yeah, so she was just asking, if I had like any feedback or thoughts, since she knows I'm also like kind of a beginner painter. So but yeah, and some other fun stuff. My mother-in-law is in town, and it's been she just got in last night, so I'm just kind of like sneaking off to do my videos. I told her a little bit about my channel, but not too much about it. But I did show her the Gabigail that I'm painting and working on, and I actually was working on painting Gabigail's hair when she had arrived home from the airport. So it was cool to like kind of see her reaction. She's actually like a legit bona fide artist, and she paints, and she has like sold her work to galleries and stuff like that. So I was telling her, I was like, hey, Mom, you'd be actually probably really, really good at painting these reborns. I don't know if she's like into dolls or not, but she was like not afraid to like hold them and stuff like that. So I showed her the swap baby that I made. I showed her some of the babies from my collection, and it's so interesting just to kind of like hear her thoughts. She definitely seems to prefer the closed-eyed babies over the open-eyed ones. I think she's taken aback by the open-eyed ones because they look at you. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, I was kind of hinting to her that I'd love to make her a baby, maybe for Christmas or something like that. But I don't know if she really wants one or not, or or how interested she would be. But she didn't say no to the idea, so we'll see. Anyway, so I just thought I would tell you guys about that. And yeah, I think I've kind of blabbed on long enough today, but so anyway, but yeah, if you want to leave me a comment or do this tag about does being an artist make reborns lose their magic, I would love to kind of hear your thoughts about this. I think for me, it's definitely not. Like, I definitely still feel like I have the magic. I do look at the babies in a different way. Like, I will kind of admire, like, oh, wow, like, different details. Like, oh, like, how did they did this vein really well, or whatever the, whatever I'll, think about the baby. But like, I do know for me, though, I still feel the magic, with box openings, when I see a beautiful baby, like it will tug at my heartstrings. Like I first and foremost am a collector, and I just love these dolls, period. So and I just have such a passion for this hobby, and I think for myself, I decided to get into painting more to like appreciate the hobby from another angle, if that makes sense, and to really sort of like kind of understand it from that point of view. but now that I'm, you know, and I never thought when I started painting earlier this year that I, you know, would be, you know, painting babies and that people would actually like my work and want to, you know, adopt babies from me. Like that's been such a nice surprise. And guys, I have the most lovely customers, you know, so far, knock on wood. I have, after I'm done with Gabigail, I have Levi, and then a second Saskia for the mommy who adopted the other Saskia. And then she also has commissioned me to paint her the Reborn Logan Awake. So that'll be my first Reborn that I get to paint. And then I have another lovely customer who contacted me through Facebook. And I do have a Little Foot Nursery Facebook page, just as an FYI. So if you haven't liked that page and followed me there, I do post my work in process pictures and photos of the full albums of my finished babies. So feel free to hop over there and check it out. So, you know, but she contacted me there, and we're talking about me painting the Lillian kit for her, which is one of Bountiful Baby's newer sculpts. It is a beautiful open-eyed sculpt, you know, a little bit of a bigger baby. I think about 20, I want to say she's about 22 inches. So I think she's similar in size to Saskia, and, you know, I think will be a perfect 0 to 3 month size. And I really love this 3-month size in terms of dressing options. I feel like a lot of the cute clothes, they don't offer them in newborn and smaller. So 3 months is really fun for that reason. All right. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like this video, share it, and don't forget to subscribe. Take care.